You're 8 years old when the sun stops meaning warmth. It hangs above the Georgia fields like a threat written in fire. The air tastes of copper and cotton dust. Sweat burns tracks down your back where skin has already forgotten softness. A man stands over you, mouth moving.
Work faster, you lazy peasants!
Your name comes out wrong, twisted, spit-stained, deliberate. You stop correcting him. That's the first thing you learn. The whip cracks before dawn, louder than prayers, sharper than hunger. You used to dream about rivers. Now you only see rose, white, endless, merciless. The smell is rot and iron, mould clinging to wood, fear soaking into dirt. A child beside you collapses into the red clay. No one moves to help. The overseer doesn't count bodies, only hands that still pick. You're not a child anymore, you're cargo. The wind hums through the stalks like breath through a dying throat. And this, right here, under someone else's sky, this is where your life begins. They take your name first, then your shoes, then your mother. You learn the rule faster than you learn to read. Silence keeps you breathing. Stillness keeps you whole. Every morning is shouting. Every night is pain you can't name. The man says, "Work or bleed." You believe him. The cabin smells like smoke that never clears. Mildew that lives in the lungs. Defeat that has no scent, but you recognize it anyway. 10 bodies share one room. The air belongs to no one. A woman with grey eyes and hands like weathered rope feeds you corn mush from a wooden bowl. She trembles when she moves but never spills. She calls you boy. You had a name once. It doesn't matter now. Nights stretch longer than days. The dark hurts worse than the lash. You hear breathing. Shallow, broken. Sobbing muffled into palms. Chains scraping dirt outside the door. The stars above look foreign, like they belong to a different world, one you'll never see again. You try to count the days. They slip through your fingers like sweat. Hot. Useless. Endless. The woman hums at night. Low, slow songs that sound like funerals for people still alive. You whisper them back until grief closes your throat and you can't anymore. The field becomes your school. Each sunrise teaches obedience. Each sunset tests endurance. The overseer walks behind you, boots heavy in the dust. He doesn't need to speak anymore. His shadow does the work. You think about your mother sometimes, her laugh, the way her voice shaped your name when it still meant something. The memory cuts deeper than the whip ever could. You tell yourself forgetting will make it easier. It doesn't. A boy your age falls one afternoon, body folding into itself like paper. He doesn't get back up. The overseer spits into the dirt. Training, he says. You call it Tuesday. At night, you carve lines into the wood beam beside your head. Small marks, days that blur together. You stop after 27. The wood splits before you do. You dream of water again, clean, endless, free. This time it fills your lungs until you drown. You wake up gasping. No one asks if you're okay. You're taller now, stronger, still not free. The field stretches wider than any future you can imagine. You wake before the sun, when the world is grey and cold and godless. Your back carries scars nobody reads. Your hands carry proof you existed once. The foreman's voice cuts through morning fog. Faster. You move faster. Cotton looks soft from a distance. Up close, it's all thorns and betrayal. Each bowl slices tiny razors into your fingertips until the red turns brown, then disappears into the fabric of your skin. Pain becomes rhythm, steady as your heartbeat, familiar as your breath. You stop flinching. That's how you know you've changed. The overseer's voice is the drumbeat your life moves to. Orders, curses, laughter that sounds like violence. He says, "Don't look up, you don't." A new child arrives one morning, eyes still wet with tears that mean nothing here. He cries at night for weeks. You give him half your bread one morning, just once. He whispers, "Thank you." By evening, fever takes him. They bury him behind the smokehouse with the others. No names, no prayers, just red dirt piled over small bones. The years slide past in seasons that all taste the same: heat, hunger, dust. You catch your reflection in the water trough one afternoon. The face staring back looks older, harder, hollowed out from the inside. You don't recognize yourself. Maybe that's the point. They say work builds character. You say nothing. The woman with the grey eyes is gone. Sold south, someone whispers. Her lullabies stay, humming in the back of your skull when you close your eyes. You start humming them too. The rhythm keeps you sane, or close enough. The overseer says, "You're learning. You are. You're learning how to disappear while still standing upright." The whip cracks once behind you, close enough to feel the air split. You don't flinch. The sound alone does the work now. One night it rains. Real rain. Heavy, wild, cleansing. You step outside into it, barefoot in the mud. The sky opens and for 3 minutes you feel alive. You whisper into the storm, "Please don't stop." It does. Morning comes with silence. You pick up the sack. You return to the row, because stopping isn't survival. You learn that too. Rumours crawl through the cabins faster than flies in summer heat. Freedom, the north. Soldiers coming. War. The words taste strange on your tongue. Dangerous, holy, impossible. You want to believe. But belief is a language you stopped speaking years ago. A man with a scar carved down his cheek whispers about papers. Real ones, legal ones. Papers that could make you human again. You listen, like it's gospel. He says, "They coming soon." You wait. Weeks pass. The master stops smiling. The overseer drinks more. The air smells different. Sharp, electric, like lightning before it strikes. You hear gunfire in the distance one morning. Faint, far away, real. Hope sounds like thunder rolling in before the storm. One morning soldiers ride through, blue coats, loud voices, horses kicking up dust. They shout words you don't fully understand. The master disappears. You think, this is it. It isn't. 3 days later he returns, says the papers came through, says you're free now. Then he says you owe him for the land, the tools, the seed, the cabin you've been sleeping in. Rent, he calls it. Freedom comes quiet, like a lie told twice. You still sleep in the same bed, still work the same dirt, still eat the same scraps from the same bowl. They call it progress. You call it dying slower. Children run laughing through the yard one afternoon, too young to understand what freedom was supposed to mean. You watch them. You envy them. Ignorance feels like air. A preacher visits on Sunday, talks about salvation, justice, a better tomorrow. You nod. You stopped waiting for tomorrow years ago. He shakes your hand and says, "Congratulations. You survived." You look down at your hands, cracked, burned, trembling without permission. You survived. That's supposed to mean something. The nights feel heavier now. You dream of water again. Dark, wide, endless. You wade in, chasing something just out of reach. You wake before you ever find it. Eventually you stop dreaming altogether. You marry a woman who doesn't smile, she's quiet, steady, broken in the same rhythm as you. You learn to share silence. You work land that isn't yours for a man who pretends you're equals now. He says, "We all start fresh." You smile because pretending is survival too. Your wife loses a baby in the 3rd winter. Fever takes what hunger couldn't. You dig the grave yourself. The soil is cold and red and clings to your hands like guilt you can't wash off. You teach the younger ones how to pick clean, how to hide pain behind stillness, how to make yourself small enough to survive. They call you uncle. You laugh once, dry, short, empty. You stopped being anyone's uncle a long time ago. The children ask about freedom. You tell them it smells like ash. One evening, the man who used to own you rides past your house. Older now, smaller. He tips his hat, says, "We all paid our price, didn't we?" You say nothing. He rides on. The fields still whisper at night, even when you're far from them. The soil remembers footsteps, screams, prayers that never reached heaven. You try to forget. The land never does. You cough blood sometimes. The dust never left your lungs. It just learned to hide. Every breath feels rented. Every sunrise feels borrowed. You stop calling it living. You call it what's left. The rain still comes sometimes. Soft, slow, indifferent. You don't look up anymore. You're 47 now. 39 years since the auctioneer called your name like a number at market. Your hands shake even when they're still. The scars on your back ache every time the sky turns grey. The children you once taught now work the same fields under new contracts that look different but feel identical. They call it sharecropping. You call it the same cage with a fresh coat of paint. Your wife is gone. Buried beneath the oak tree near the river, The same one you prayed under as a child when prayer still felt possible. You talk to her sometimes. She never answers. A boy asks you one afternoon, "What was it like?" You look at him for a long time, then you say, "It still is." The nights stretch longer now. The crickets sing songs you don't remember the words to anymore. You find comfort in the creak of porch wood beneath your weight. It sounds like breathing. The river nearby smells of mud and rust and memory. You dip your hands into it one evening, let the cold water run over your knuckles. It burns. You leave them there anyway. You start hearing voices again, echoes you buried years ago. Work or bleed. Keep moving. Don't look up. They never really left. The younger men in town call you wise. You call yourself lucky. Luck just means you lived long enough to remember too much. The world outside talks of progress, of rights, of freedom. You smile, slow, tired, knowing. You've heard that word before. It never meant you. You still wake before dawn. You still smell dust. You still wait for something that will never arrive. You're 50 now. 42 years since your name was sold for $70 and a handshake. Your lungs rattle like chains left in the rain. Your fingers tremble like tools abandoned too long in the cold. You lost your childhood before you learned to spell it. You became a number, then a shadow, then a silence that no one bothers to fill. You forgot your mother's face, but not her voice. She said, "Keep breathing." You did. You walk back to the river one last time. The water smells of iron and memory. It carries ghosts like it remembers every cry ever thrown into it. You touch the surface. It shakes. Soft, forgiving, indifferent. You still smell the dust. You still hear the whip. You still see the cotton rows stretching endlessly toward a horizon you'll never reach. You survived. That's supposed to mean something. It doesn't. While your life as a slave child in Georgia was endless suffering, others across America faced horrors of their own. In Oklahoma, survival meant starvation beneath empty skies.